So, Aston Martin, what an absolutely awful season it's been for Aston Martin in 2024. Yes, they maintained their 5th place overall in the Constructors' standings from 2023, but that's about where the similarities end. I think, to be honest, they started the season in not the worst form. They did seem to gain a little bit of ground compared to the top 4 teams if you compare their end of 2023 with start of 2024. So in the off-season, they did an alright job, but as the season went on, it just got worse and worse and worse, to the point where Fernando Alonso was saying that the car was probably the slowest car on the grid aside from the Saubers, and it's hard to disagree with the Spanish Samurai when it comes to that one. Alonso's performances throughout this season have been admirable. I mean, you look at him in the standings, and he's actually got almost half the points of what Sergio Perez has got in the Red Bull. He is best of the rest in a sense, in 9th place overall in the Drivers' Championship. And the one blot on his copybook really for me is the fact that he's not got a podium this season. But I don't think that's his fault. I think the car's just not been good enough. Like I said, in 2023, they started out as the 2nd fastest car on the grid, I would say, and they could have even got a win early on in the campaign, but they just regressed through the season. This season, they started about 5th overall as the 5th fastest car on the grid, and just regressed to being about the 8th or 9th fastest car on the grid. Lance Stroll, again, was pretty dismal this season. I think he was probably maybe a little bit better than last season. He did beat Alonso in some qualifying sessions, in some races, but it was really scattergun, to be honest with you. His performances as the season went on just got worse and worse. And in fact, he didn't score a point after Hungary, which, again, that tells you all you need to know right there. And in fact, in Hungary, his teammate Alonso gave him that point too. I believe they swapped positions and didn't swap back at the end, which enraged Alonso no end. But yeah, awful campaign for Aston Martin in 2024. They maintained their 5th place overall, but if they scored this, 5th place overall, but if they scored this many points in 2023, they would have finished at least maybe 6th or 7th overall. Such is the gap between the top 4 teams and the rest of the field. The fact that other teams couldn't really score that highly on a consistent basis really helped Aston Martin here. They only scored about half or even a third of the points they did in 2023. So it's a massive downturn for them. So for me, honestly, I was tempted to give them an F, but the fact is they still maintain their 5th position. So in that sense, they haven't failed, but they have gone so close to being a failure, really, for me. Lance Stroll, he wasn't completely terrible. He wasn't maybe the worst driver on the grid overall, possibly this season, but he maintains his place there, of course he will do, and he wasn't completely terrible, so I find it hard to give him an F grade for that. Alonso, like I said, 9th place overall in the drivers' standards, the best of the rest, the most consistent driver from outside of the top 4 teams when it came to scoring points. So for me, he's overperformed in that car. He's got a B. He is the only reason why that team has gotten 5th overall in the Constructors. If it wasn't for Alonso, Aston Martin would have been 8th, maybe. Genuinely, they really would have been. You put an average driver in that car alongside Lance Stroll and they would struggle no end to score points. But yeah, there we go, guys. Let's head into the top 4 teams, the winning teams from 2024.